Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here with us. My name's Eric Doane. I'm the students pastor here. And if you need your students to go somewhere, 6 through 12, like at least give you an hour and a half break, parents, man, we meet here Wednesday night, 6:30 to 8. We have a good time. We have a good number that comes. So if I haven't met you yet, I want to meet you. Before you leave, just to say hi and tell you that, we'd love to have you on Wednesday. So we see I choose, and with I choose, we can say that it's really on us, right? If somebody chooses for us, like if I'm asking Aubrey, I'm saying, hey, honey, happy birthday, where do you want to go for lunch? She's like, I'm tired of choosing, right? Like, I try to make sure that, we go somewhere she wants to go. And I mean, I'm easy. I'm like a meat and potatoes kind of guy. Like, you throw some cheese on it, I'm there. So I'm simple. I'm simple. And, but when you get to this point of choice and choices, to say that we are right now the sum of all the choices that we've made. We are the sum total today, right now, of all the choices we have made in life, good, bad, ugly, pretty, all the choices that we've made in life so far, we are now the sum total is right now, is today. You being here, whether you think about, oh man, that choice I made 5 years ago, man, I didn't think that affected where I was today. But it does. It does. We are the sum total of the choices that we have made. And so this week is week 1. We've got total of 4 weeks in this I Choose series. And today is purpose over popularity. Purpose over popularity. When we think about purpose, we automatically think of that ultimate purpose, that reason that God put us, that He created us, and that He put us here on earth. It's that ultimate thing. It's that, like, when you are done in life, you're like, boom, I have completed my purpose. Like, I know why God put me here. I know what I'm doing. I know all this. And purpose. That's what we think about. And with popularity, man, we think about being loved, accepted, valued, and even envied by others, right? Like, we can't just say, hey, people like us, right? Because that's being called personable. I think I said that word right. It might be a little too fancy for me, but, personable. Like, people like you. They just like you. There's something about you. Like, people just are drawn to you, right? That's not what I'm talking about being popular. Popularity is something that we try to achieve. Sometimes popularity means we're comparing. Like, ooh, I got to just one step up. One step better. Like, oh, that's great. You've got that jacket in blue. Well, I have it in red and blue. What? Like, just that one step up, popularity. And we want to be envied, right? Because we want to have something that somebody else doesn't, and we want them to have what we want. Because that means, ooh, that gives us a little bit of value, right? Like, and we find validation in others, popularity. But we've got some choices to make, right? We can't, and even though we want to, we can't be both popular and purpose. Because sometimes, your purpose doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be popular. Your purpose doesn't mean that you're always going to be popular. And sometimes when we choose popularity, we forget about our purpose and we'll miss it. We'll miss our purpose and we're like, oh, well, we missed the big thing, the ultimate thing, the reason of why we're here. But it's a choice that you and I have to make. And it's not just like necessarily make it once. It's like, hey, I'm going to do this with the rest of my life. Well, okay. Say if you wanted to be president, right, that is your purpose. You feel that is your purpose. You ain't going to be popular. You're not going to be popular. I said ain't. You're not going to be popular. I don't know if there's certain presidents that have been, but then there's little steps that you have to take to get there, right? You've got to start getting involved in politics and then, little local elections and then governor and mayor and senate and all this stuff, like, president. Like, that's the end goal, but there's little steps to take. And sometimes our purpose doesn't help with our popularity. I would say most often, if we don't know the purpose of a thing, we misuse the thing, right? If we don't know its purpose, what it's made for, created, and how to be used, then we tend to misuse it. And so today we're going to be really diving in purpose so that we learn maybe not to misuse it or how to maybe use it better. And there are times where, like me, I'm sure, and like you, we know the purpose of something, and yet we still choose to misuse it. Like for some men, like we think we're handy, and we know the purpose of something, right? You're working on something with a wrench, and then next thing you know, you're using it as a hammer. Somehow that just makes things work. Like this, and your wife's like, I may not be so tool savvy, but I'm pretty sure a hammer's for hitting things. That wrench, not so much, but somehow we tend to we can misuse something that we know the purpose of. We may misuse it. For instance, like this, your students know if they had come that I have no problem embarrassing myself. I actually kind of almost take a little, pride in it now. It's not popular. It's not a popular thing, especially when I'm about to show you. But so in preparing, this message and purpose of something and still misusing it, man, I so thought I was a lot younger when this happened, but it turned out I was in 6th grade. And so I asked my mom to go back and find this picture, and it's. I hope that's not the last thing you think of before you go to bed at night. That just, Yeah. So we all know the purpose. We can all, know the purpose. But then at this one point in time in life, I was like, I want to be funny. It totally didn't work out. And so I took it and I was like, hey, Mom, look, I'm Darth Vader. And that just, there are times we can know the purpose of a thing and still misuse the thing, right? And so please take that off now. That'd be great. The ELT did not know who they were hiring, apparently. I don't know. I snuck that one past them. Anyway, God's about forgiveness and mercy and grace, and I appreciate it. So I know some of y'all are like, man, this guy must have chosen purpose because popularity definitely wasn't his thing. I get it. And so purpose over popularity. Try to refocus back now on the... Man, y'all are just like, man, I'm just going to think about that right before we pray, for lunch. It's just, and somebody's going to giggle. It's probably going to be your students. I apologize for the mental scarring. You'll never forget the sermon, though. I think we often, when we look at purpose and we say, hey, this is the big thing, like that is, the one thing in life is that that's all you amount to. We throw all of what we amount to here on earth and everything that we are and every decision, like is on this big grand purpose. And I think it just stresses us out. Man, it freaks people out. Like we're just like, man, I don't know my purpose. Like, what do I got to do? Like, okay, I'm in elementary school. I've got to figure out my purpose. I've got to figure out what I want to do in middle school, like play sports or do art. And then once through middle school, like we're in high school, it's like, oh, college. Boom. What is our purpose? What are you going to major in? You got to declare your major. You pick your college based on what you want to do in life, about what's your purpose. And it's stressful. It's stressful and it freaks us out. And so we spend so much time of our life figuring out what our purpose is that we start to miss the little daily purposes, the momentary purpose. And so I had a coach, and he simplified football for me, and it was in East Tennessee because I got asked questions about where I went to high school and played football after this past first service. And so I just want to make sure I did not go to East High School. I did not go to West. I did not live in North Carolina. All right, just covering the bases. So, but I had a coach in middle school, and he said, man, let's not focus on the purpose of football, right? The purpose of football is two teams go back and forth, and they try to outsmart the other and this, that, and whatever. But the goal of it, the purpose of playing a football game is to win, right? Is to score more points than the other team and you win. And my coach said, man, let's just break this down a little bit. Let's make this simple. Why stress out about like, oh man, we got to get the first down. Oh man, we got to get the touchdown. He said this, and I don't know if it was just like some self-help book that he read or something, but he broke it down and he simplified it. He said, let's just focus on the small things. Because if you focus on the small things and you do the small things, but you do it right, the big things come. You'll get the first downs. You'll get the touchdowns. And doing this small thing, he said, guys, I don't want you to focus on first downs, right? That kind of didn't make sense to us because we all played video game. We're like, ooh, first down's a good thing. So he said, don't worry about first downs. Don't worry about touchdowns. I'm like, well, if we got to score and we got to make first downs to score, and if we outscore the other team, we win, and then we have a great season, and woo, we're awesome. He said, don't worry about that. He says, I just want you to focus on averaging 5 yards a carry. Just 5 yards, an average of 5 yards a carry or 5 yards a play. Just focus on that. Don't worry about the first downs. Don't worry about the touchdowns. Because when you focus on something simple, and that's what you got to do, and the little things, the big things will come. We won a lot of football games that year. I just don't know if they said, hey, this is all that these people in little East Tennessee can figure out is let's keep it down to 5 yards, and I had to win the game. I'm not sure to this day, but it worked, and it simplified things. And so that's what I want to do today. I want to focus and try to help us simplify life a little bit, because if everything mounts up to purpose, like our grand purpose, the grand thing, the thing that we want to do before our names are written on a tombstone or whatever, is to simplify things, because less stress, happy life, less worry about certain things, the more glory you can bring to other things, and the little momentary purpose, the little daily purpose will add up, and the big things will come. The big things will come. And so if we choose popularity, we can miss out on the little momentary purpose. If we choose popularity, we can miss out on our little daily momentary purpose. But we have to make a choice. I choose purpose over popularity. Moses, in Hebrews 11, 24 through 26, Moses had made a decision, and we see that it had a big ramifications, and he's just one of many that show us this example of purpose over popularity. It says, by faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Didn't want to be known by the woman that raised him, right? Some moms are being offended right now. Mother's Day does come around. I promise I love you. That's not, he was born into slavery. Moses was born into slavery, and then they said, man, his best chance, we're just going to send him down a river in a basket. And then Pharaoh's daughter finds him, raises him up, gives him lavish life, gives him everything he always could dream of, because he's royalty, education, and he was respected, and he was to be the next in line, like in Pharaoh. But he said, I refuse to be known as a son of Pharaoh's daughter. It says he chose. He what? Chose to be mistreated along with the people of God rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. So Moses, we see this in Scripture here, and in a little bit I'll talk about somebody else who demonstrates this, but he chose his purpose over popularity. Moses chose calling over comfort. What we're to do in that moment, what we're to do in life. He had to make a choice right then. This is my daily purpose moment, to choose to be with the people that God wanted me to lead, to fulfill my purpose. But in this moment, I had to make this daily choice to refuse to be known as Pharaoh's daughter and to be mistreated with God's people. And he said, it's of greater value than the treasures of Egypt. So he said, I'll take calling over comfort. I'll take purpose over popularity. So what does it look like when we choose popularity over purpose? What happens when we turn it around? We start choosing, when we want to choose popularity, we're like, man, I want to seek validation. I need happiness from others. I need others to say, I love you. You're the greatest ever, so that you can feel whole. You can feel happy, or like you matter, or that you have some value to somebody else other than just you. We look for validation from others, happiness from others, wanting to feel accepted and belong, and comparison is one of those things. It's just one of those things. It's an easy thing. We just, oh, well, I'm better than so-and-so. Or I didn't do my hair that way. I do it this way. I live this way. They don't live as great as they should. They go to church like 5 times a year. I go to church like, 12 times a year. And we look for value. I feel good. I feel loved and so forth. Comparison, choosing popularity over purpose. I want to share with you part of my life and so you get to know me and I get to know you. And I mean, when I say, like, when I was saved at 6 years old, I was in church my whole life. I understood everything what Jesus did, why he did it, and why I needed Jesus. And so at 6 years old, I was in church, and I was saved, and I was baptized, and I was raised in church, and I grew up. And I was known in school for being the Jesus kid, but I was also bullied growing up, right? This wasn't like bullying now. This was like bullying in the 90s. So it was in person, not, over phone. So there's more things that could happen in reaction and stuff. And this kid, man, I tell you, like, when I mean the Jesus kid, I'm going to explain to you, share with you a story, what I mean by, like, the Jesus kid. So there was this guy, 3rd grade, man, picked on me every day. I have no idea why, but he had a cool haircut. It was a bowl cut. I don't know, but I wanted the same thing. So I looked up to this guy because he was popular. He was popular, and I wanted to be a part of it, and I guess, like, somehow in that, like, and still, being a Jesus kid and still being, all for Christ. And he just kind of got tired of it, I guess. So he started picking on me every day, 3rd grade. Now we're in 6th grade. Yeah, same grade as Darth Vader face. And it was time, and my parents were done. I was done. I mean, it was time. It was like, okay, dude, like, I had enough. It's time. Okay, let's meet up Saturday morning and we'll just duke this thing out. And I don't mean like duke the college students. I mean like duke as in like fighting it out, not John Wayne even, just to mention for age range, not that duke, but, we're going to fight it out. And that's it. We're going to meet here and we're going to do this. I mean, my parents have had it. My mom was like my number one supporter. Just knock him on. Sorry, she's going to watch this later and it's totally whatever. Anyway, love you, Mom. And so the Jesus kid part, you're like, man, okay, you don't want to be a Jesus kid yet. You're going to go like try getting this guy's fight with this guy. And this guy invited some friends over because he needed backup. But whatever. I mean, I had a cup on my face. I'm pretty sure you don't need much backup for that kind, to fight that guy. But and so I said, okay. It's the night before the fight. So I grabbed my Bible, I grabbed a pen, a paper, an envelope, and a WWJD bracelet. Man, those things were popular when I was in 6th grade. And so it was like, okay, what would Jesus do? And so, I mean, I was such a Jesus kid that I literally sat there on my bed and I started reading the armor of God and I started writing this down. And I'm like, okay, man, I forgive you. I love you. If you want to punch me in the face, that's okay. I'll just stand there. I'll have my Bible in my hand because I'm protected by the armor of God. 6th grade, y'all, I'm not joking. And I'm, I love you. And I'll just stand there and you just hit me because, I'll turn the other cheek because WWJD, I'm telling you, like, what would Jesus do in case y'all don't remember? And so I wrote it and I folded it up and I put it in this envelope and WWJD bracelet and then we drove to this guy's house and he happened to move like 6 houses down from me that year. Great, middle school's gonna be awesome. And so I go and I knock on this guy's door and I'm like knock. And his mom was not expecting company and still trying to get over that image, but anyway, and so I knock on the door and it's early morning and this guy, like it's probably about 2 hours before we were supposed to fight, and I said, hey man, will you give this to your son for me? Just give it to him, and then we drove off, and the thing about this guy, like I told you, Jesus kid, right? And so we ended up not, like, we didn't really speak. He didn't pick on me, and we became, like, we had class again junior year in high school, and so things were better, but. And so when I mean Jesus kid, like I got picked on. And here's this time, like when I was 15. So I grew up in church. I mean, so much so that I would, armor of God, write this guy a note in the WWJD bracelet before, he was going to hurt me. I don't know if I wore my Darth Vader costume, if maybe I would be, a little bit more protected or not, but whatever. Besides the point. And so we get to this point, and like now I'm 15 years old, and I get this job, right? The summer job, first job. But the problem is, it starts on Sundays. And this was the first time that I had ever been taken out of church on Sundays because I wanted to work at this Boy Scout camp, and I was an aquatics instructor, fancy name for a lifeguard. Apparently, lifeguard's not savvy enough. We're like, aquatics instructor. And so we taught sailing, we taught swimming, because that was important, and then we taught all this other stuff. But what this allowed me to do is I was taken out of church and introduced to all these guys that I had never met, and they never have met me before either. And so I got this opportunity to be like, you know what? I'm tired of getting picked on. I'm tired of just getting like people just knocking me down all the time and verbally beating me up and then physically, you know, all this. I'm tired of it. I'm going to do and be whoever I want, however I want. I'm just going to be this totally other person. They don't know me. I told them I was the coolest dude at school. So I put a cup on my face in 6th grade. I was cool. I don't know. And I told them all this and I said, man, I would do anything and everything. If they were to say, Eric, you're not cool unless you do this, I would go and do it. Now, it got me in a whole lot of trouble. But these guys were Mormon and Taoist and Buddhist and Catholic. There's like a Methodist or two, and I was like the only Baptist. And there was all these different religions that I didn't understand, but I started saying things that I didn't believe, and I started saying, you know, okay, yes, I believe this, but I didn't. I said, okay, yeah, the Bible contradicts itself, but it didn't, because that's what this guy said, and I wanted him to like me. I wanted him to say, man, you have value, you're cool. And that's all I wanted to do, and I said some other things, and I started, you know, cussing a lot because I taught small boat sailing. That's, you know, irony and hand basket. But, you know, and then so I started doing things. I started vandalizing. I started stealing. I started, apparently when you take the ski boat out after dark and you didn't tell anybody and you drive across the lake to the Girl Scout camp, that's a big no-no. And I mean, so like I took stuff. I was threatened to be fired. I was threatened to be arrested. And I gained 2 addictions and all this stuff just to fit in. I was like, I'm tired of this. I want this. I don't want to do my purpose anymore and being this Jesus kid. I don't know if that's what God had intended for me my entire life. But then, you know, I wanted popularity. I wanted love. I wanted to feel accepted, like I was awesome for once, because these guys never knew me. And look what happened. And I started learning, and at the end of that summer, my sister took me to church, and this pastor, this youth guy, preached this message. It was just for me, and I prayed to rededicate my life, and I said, God, I'm not living the way that I want to, and the way that you want me to, and Lord, you know, forgive me of this, and I want to follow you. I want to come back to you. I want to do what you have called me to be and how you made me to be. I'm choosing purpose. Forgive me of this. I'm choosing purpose over popularity, because look at what popularity does. Popularity is a distraction, and purpose drives away distractions. If I wasn't so focused on wanting to be liked by them and focused on my little daily momentary purpose, maybe if I would have told them about Jesus, maybe that's why I was there, or to pray for them, or to show them that life can be different. Throughout the day, it wasn't just like, hey, here's a one-time thing, here's a daily thing. I had daily moments to tell them about Jesus. Guys who said they don't believe in Jesus, and it came down to this time, and all these guys, like, it was like, dude, we can count on Eric for everything. There's these 2 kids, and they were pastors' kids, and they came down and they said, okay, well, we'll all line up, kind of thing. It was kind of a movie moment. And we said, hey, you know, is Jesus real, and is he Lord of your life? And it came down to, you know, it was like, no. And then now it's my turn. And I remember something the Sunday school teacher said. He said that Jesus says in Matthew, he says, if you deny me before men, I will deny you before my Father. So I took a big old deep breath. I was like, because they were all counting on me. I was so choosing distraction over purpose. And in this moment, it's the make or break deal. And I said, Jesus is real, and he is Lord of my life. And I took off running, and the rest of that summer was just kind of a nightmare. But I told, you know, I went to church with my sister, and I chose purpose over popularity in that daily purpose. Now, my daily purpose, like I said, may have been telling them about Jesus. And I missed it. I don't know where Brad is, where Matt, Chris, Frank, Zach, Lee. I don't know where these guys are. I don't know if they're alive or dead. I've not seen them since. But here's the thing. If I had paid attention to my daily purpose and not this distractions, and, you know, maybe they would know Jesus. They came from different backgrounds. They believed different things. If I didn't focus on distractions and I focused on my daily purpose, you know, one of them could be here today. If a couple of them, you know, are sadly dead, if they're that way and they're in hell, then I missed the moment. I missed the daily purpose where they could have probably had the opportunity to choose heaven, but they chose differently. purpose drives away distractions. And so after that, school started back and some things started happening. I was playing football. Like I said, just to clarify, I was in Tennessee. I quickly learned that purpose pushes us through pain. Purpose pushes us through pain because just when you make a decision and you rededicate something and it's so precious and you're like, okay, I'm going to be different now. Then you're faced back with everything. Like, oh, okay. And these guys I played football with, it was like 3 or 4 of them. Man, we'd be lifting weights in the room. I was like 160 pounds of bone. And I mean, like I wanted to be the kicker, but they said, hey, we need a lineman. And I was like, you're funny. And so I started working out, and these guys would mess with me when I'm working out. And like they would come and I would be doing bench press, right? And they would add weight or they would tip it or hold it down. So I'm like struggling, and then they would let go and I would dump one side of the weights and then the other side. And I would do squats, and they would come and punch me in the ribs from behind me. And so I would, fall back or teeter and make loud noise so people would laugh at me. I would do military press, and it only counts if you get your legs straight out. And then they would come and kick me in the back of the knee. So then I'm starting to fall and weights are dropping, and they thought it was hilarious. And in this moment, again, you could be thinking, man, dude, stand up for yourself. Like it's on you that you're getting beaten up. Like just punch the guy in the face. I would totally agree with you. I so wanted to do it, but I didn't want to miss this daily purpose of showing God's love and His grace and mercy to these guys and not retaliating. Remember WWJD? I was this Jesus kid, and then I got caught up by distraction. Purpose drives away distraction, and now here we are. Purpose pushes us through pain. Now, these guys, they physically beat me up and stuff like that, but I chose not to react to them. I chose just to keep doing, just to love them as Jesus did, to give them something that they don't deserve, and Jesus gives that to us every day. It's called grace. It's called grace. Even when we didn't know Him and we were His enemy, He loved us anyway, and He gave us grace. And now, as some of you might not play football or anything like that, but we're adults, and your job may stink right now. It may be like, this is not where I wanted to end up. It might just be one of those in-between jobs. Like, God, why did you put me here? Your marriage isn't where you thought it would be. Marriage isn't what you dreamed it would be. You've got some issues, and it's not unicorns and rainbows, and your family might be dysfunctional because of all these other aspects that come in, and you're like, man, what is my purpose? And it's the daily thing. It's to pray for your boss. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe it's to pray for somebody or share Jesus with that person. Or just to say, I choose to find purpose rather than, just leaving. Yes, it's painful. It might not be what we want. But if we look for the daily little purpose, maybe there's somebody at your job or in your family that you're the only person that they can go to when they're in pain or trouble. And that's why you're there, for that one person. There's times when we preach as pastors and stuff, and it's like we get a whole room, but there's only just that one person that God wants to break through and pour into, that one person. Purpose over popularity. Purpose pushes us through pain. Like my coach said, we got to break things down and make things a little simple. Purpose also empowers us to please God. And in trying to keep things simple, we're like, okay, it drives away distractions and it pushes us through pain. Now what? Now what? It empowers us to please God. We spend so much time trying to be loved by others and want to be loved by others, and we fight for it, and we choose this thing, we start getting distracted, and then some things are a little bit painful, and we find ourselves wanting to be all things to all people. This is something I've been dealing with this year. I said, I want to be the perfect husband. I want to be the perfect dad. I want to be the perfect youth pastor. I want to do all this, and I stress out, and somebody ends up getting lashed out at. Not my daughter, because, she's little, cute, and just like a mirror image of me. And so, but like my wife, she has to deal with a little bit of pain because sometimes I'll lash out because I'm focused on this distraction of being all things to all people, and you can't do it. You can't please everybody. You can't be liked by everybody, so why do we keep trying to do it? Why do we keep trying? Now, we can't please everybody, but the one person, if we simplify it down and we choose one person to make happy, Wouldn't that be nice? Instead of worrying about, if you've got kids, I got to worry about my kids being happy. I got to worry about my sister being happy. I got to be worried about all this and my wife, she's important and all this. Or I got to worry about, in your life, in your situation, I got to worry about all this stuff to be happy. Wouldn't it be nice just to get a break and only focus on making one person happy? And guess what? It's not yourself. Disclaimer right there. It's not yourself. You can't please everybody, and you can even let yourself down, but you can please God. And you never let him down. You might feel like you do, like, I should have chose purpose over popularity in this moment, or, God, I should have let purpose, drive away this distraction, and I should have let purpose drive me through pain, and God, I need purpose to empower me just to please you. We talked about Moses and how he found greater value, and he left comfort and chose calling. There's this other guy in the Bible, I don't know if you've heard of him. His name's Jesus, right? Kind of popular dude, right? Some people liked him, a lot of people didn't. He fulfilled his purpose anyway, because we look at this cross and he's not there anymore because he conquered death, even conquered death for you. But in this moment, like you imagine if you got the Golgotha and all that back here and crucifixion, there are people that said, hey man, if you are Jesus, if you are Son of God, come down off that cross. No man, I got greater things to do. I'm doing great work. I got greater value. Jesus could have come off that cross in a heartbeat, but he stayed up there because you are valued. You are important. He stayed up on the cross and he said, no, that's just a distraction. I'm staying up here because I've got to take this price for you. And so as he stays up on the cross, there was pain. They poked him with stuff, and people spit on him and threw stuff, and they jabbed him in the side with spears and broke his knees to try to kill him faster. But he said, my purpose is to die for you. Is to take the wages of sin so that you don't have to pay it. He stayed up on the cross. He said, I could come down, but no, I'm staying up here. That was purpose. I don't need distraction. My purpose drives away my distraction. I've got pain. I'm physical pain. I'm in torture. I'm suffocating. He says, my purpose pushes me through pain. My purpose pushes me through pain. And so as Jesus died and then he was buried and he died and he conquered death, and he says, purpose empowers me to please God. Purpose got me through all this thing because my purpose is what mattered, because you matter. Now, it wasn't like this grand purpose. He knew his grand purpose, right? He was God, but he had to make the little momentary purpose decisions. He could have come down, but he didn't. He could have not been in pain, but he was tortured. He could have stayed dead, but he didn't. We can't make everybody happy. We can't please everybody, but we can please God. There's not a reason that we have to stress out and let our life go by and miss these momentary purpose and the little daily details and blessings because we're so focused on being popular or our large purpose as a whole. Right where you are, God is using you. You just may not know it yet. But we're to seek out these little purposes because I don't want you to ever feel like I have, that I may have missed my purpose with these 6 guys and they could be in hell today. I don't want you to ever have to feel that way because I was choosing popularity over purpose. I missed my moments. You may only get 1 time or 2 times interacting with somebody. Did you miss your daily purpose? Did you miss that moment because you said, I'd rather go over here and do this and hang out with this group of people or hang out with this group of friends? Not saying it's wrong to be popular or people that want to hang out with you. None of that. But when we start using self-service, we forget about God's service. Choosing purpose over popularity. Moses chose calling over comfort. Jesus chose calling over comfort and purpose over popularity. The daily purposes can drive away distractions. It can get us through the pain, and it can empower us to please God. Purpose over popularity. Which will you choose? Which will you choose? Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for getting us here safely. Thank you for demonstrating on the world stage now, back then and now and forever, that you chose to stay up on the cross, that was your purpose. Those are momentary decisions that you made in order to get away from distraction and through the pain and to fulfill your purpose. God, help us. Help us make the right choices. We are the sum of the total choices we've made so far, but we can choose today to start living our lives on daily purpose. God, help show us that we don't have to stress out, we don't have to complicate things, that if we focus on the small things, the big things will come, God. That we will reach our purpose, what you created us for, all by starting to focus on the daily purpose. Thank you, God, for your grace and mercy and giving us stuff and giving us your love, whether we deserve it or not. Thank you. In your name we pray. Amen.